Good evening, everyone. This is Cricket Lot for Monday, April 8th. And this is the Healthy Lifestyle Raw Food Potluck. Our speaker this evening is Dr. Bob and friends. I see your kitty walking in front of
Oh
the
yeah.
screen there.
Yeah. What? I've got four. So.
Four. Okay, so we might see more. That's cool.
Yeah.
So um we're gonna go ahead and let him take center stage here. We're gonna put this on speaker view so he's big, and then I'm gonna turn my screen around so you can see everybody that's in the room. So go ahead and start. Everybody's kind of moving on up here, but they can hear you. The volume's
Okay.
up pretty good. So
Okay, great. Well, I'm Dr. Bob. I think everybody knows me. If you don't, I'm Dr. Bob McCauley. I'm here in Lansing. I own the Watershed Wellness Center, a couple miles west of the airport. I've been in business a little over 30 years. I've been doing this, the raw food lifestyle and healthy for well over 25 years now. I used to be over on West Saginaw, across from Kroger by Kreitz Road for 17 years, and then I moved over here now. My business keeps getting bigger and bigger, so I've been blessed in that way. And we took a couple minutes off today to go get outside and watch the near full eclipse of the sun, so that was kind of cool. And I don't know if you guys saw it. We had some kind of glasses, and you could see this thing, and it was really amazing. It's the best one I've seen in my lifetime and ever, including Lansing. So it was pretty cool. So I am a certified nutritional consultant, and I'm a certified master herbalist and a naturopathic doctor. And but I always tell people mostly what I know about health is by experience. And I think that's really the way you want to learn about health and about really knowing things is experience it. Don't just go out there and read a bunch of books. And because you can see the people through the years that do read books and only read books because they don't look that good. They don't look that healthy. And that's what you want to do. I'm 66 years old now. I feel great. I don't have any arthritis. I still run a 6 minute mile. I've always loved to run, and it's just what I do. I integrated this, the raw food lifestyle into my life, and so that's what I've been doing all these years. And it's not, health. I always tell people is very, very easy to understand, but it's extremely difficult to actually do it because you have to change your lifestyle, and that's what it's about, all about changing lifestyles. So I'm the author of many books on health, 8 books actually, and some of them I have in front of me. This is one of my more recent books. That's the 7 Secrets of Great Health. I have a 7 component health protocol, and I'll go over that briefly, what it is. Here's another one of my books. It's the temple he was referring to with his body, which are the words of our Lord, but basically it tells you why you want to eat a raw food lifestyle. And as I always like to say, God grew an apple, but we made a frying pan. And you cannot improve on God's creation. You can make it taste better. You can make an apple pie, and it's more delicious than a regular just apple, but it's not healthy because the difference between a cooked apple, a raw apple, and a cooked apple is a raw apple is what is, and a cooked apple is what was. And they're really not. Once you cook a food of any kind, an apple or a carrot or anything, that's not the same food at all. You can say, well, it tastes like it, but it's totally changed. All the enzymes are gone if you fully cook it, and that's the really the heart of the food. That's where it gets its energy, and so that's why you don't want to cook your foods because you're basically oxidizing them, and you're taking away their energy force. And by that I mean these enzymes. If you look at a raw food through Carillion photography, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a special type of photography that actually looks at the aura around things. And if you look at a raw food, you'll see it's colorful. If you look at a cooked food, you'll see that the color is gone. And you'll see that kind of a brownish color, like a rock, or like a piece of wood. And I'll say the same thing for a tree. I'm sitting behind a wooden desk here in my home, but it's a beautiful wooden desk, but a tree is a tree. And when you cut it down to make a desk, you haven't improved that tree at all. You got a beautiful desk, but there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying you don't have the real essence of what that was, that life force that was in that wood, that was in that tree when it began with, that begin with. So it's all about the energy that you're going to see in there. And also, when you cook a food, whether it's a carrot, an apple, or anything else, you have chemically scrambled that food, and there's an organic chemical structure to any kind of a food. And once you cook it, that's gone. It's not the same food at all. It may taste a carrot might taste like a cooked a carrot still, but it's not the same food at all. It's just you've taken an alkaline rejuvenating substance and you've turned it or food organic, alkalizing, rejuvenating, and you've turned it into mere sustenance. And it's enough to keep you alive a week, a month, a year, but it's not going to rejuvenate the body. It's going to keep you alive. It's basically calories, and you can get some nutrition from it. There's no doubt about it. But this is why we decline. We decline. They always say people get old, they get sick, and eventually they die. Well, that's not true. What is true is that people get old and they keep living on the wrong diet, and that diet leads to disease, and then they die from some kind of a disease. It could be anything from cancer to arthritis, advanced arthritis. People put in the death certificate. I don't know if they still do that, but he died of old age. People don't die of old age. They die of a disease. Their organs give out, and or they have a heart attack. That's the most common form of death. That's, that we have as far as a kind of a disease, heart attack by far in the whole world. And second to that is cancer. So, but people just eat the wrong foods. They clog up their arteries with, by putting the wrong things into their body. And then maybe they have a heart attack, or they just don't give themselves the nutrients that they need to keep the heart healthy. I just had a full medical exam, and it goes on for, I think, 15, 20 pages. I had that done in Taiwan, and it was just about a month ago, and it came back almost perfect. You see these little anomalies, even the things that came out, well, you're out of the range here. I mean, I'm a few points out of the range, not like it should have been 100 and you were at 500 or something like that. Or it should have been 50 and you were at 4. It wasn't anywhere. I was right in the range of where you're supposed to be. And I'll just tell you, like, all my friends, they're all my age now. They're all carpenters and builders, and so many of them, and a lot of them can't work at all anymore because they have arthritis, and their backs hurt and their hands hurt and they can't use their hands. And I don't have any of that. I've been lucky enough to have any kind of accidents in my life that would be crippling to me in any way. But that's what it's all about, is constantly rejuvenating that body through raw fruits and vegetables. I remind people, going back to the book on, honoring the temple of God. That's your temple, your body. I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic, and I I really live that lifestyle. And like people say, what do you eat? Well, I don't eat any breakfast. I haven't eaten breakfast in many, many years. I drink water. I get up in the morning, and people do not do the right thing. You got to get up in the morning and drink water. That's what you got to do. You got to do that every day. I drink alkaline ionized water. I sell it by the gallon at work. And here's my book, my best-selling book on water. It's on water. It's in its 3rd edition, Miraculous Properties of Ionized Water, the definitive guide to the world's healthiest substance. And this is the 3rd edition. I've got a lot more information in there. We've learned a lot more about ionized water now than we knew in the beginning. Like we knew maybe it was suspect there was hydrogen in it, and now we know for sure that there's hydrogen in alkaline ionized water. And you will find this type of water throughout nature. And there's a guy who wrote a book, and I know Cricket's familiar with it, The Fourth Phase of Water by Gerald Pollack. He's a PhD. I've interviewed him on my radio program years ago. And that's a perfect example of how he says in there, alkaline ionized water is found everywhere in nature. And that's always the case. And I always suspected it.
So Bob, one of the questions we had ahead of time was,
Yeah.
Drinking alkaline water
Yeah.
with an acid stomach.
Mhm.
How can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So I've got a chapter in that in my book. Okay. And it's a good question. And I've gotten it many times in the past. Aren't you just destroying your stomach acid? Well, there's a lot of components to digestion that you want to know about. But first of all, I'll say, obviously, as I said, you get up in the morning, you drink water. Well, I drink, I always got a glass of water. I drink a couple of these in the morning before I do anything else. I drink about 1 liter of water before I eat anything, which is around noon, 1 o'clock. That's the first time I eat. So, your stomach acid is really occurs when you're eating. The idea that your stomach is always this extremely low pH of, let's say, 2.5 with the hydrochloric acid in there. Um, and It's just not that way. There's many components to to eating. There's chewing, the mastication of your food. There's chewing, and when you start chewing your food, then you start producing enzymes, not only in your mouth. You got salivase, which is where we get the word saliva. There's amylase is another one that's being created in here. These are digestive enzymes. I always take a digestive enzyme every time I eat. I take a capsule. It's got a full spectrum. I sell one, but I take a full spectrum digestive enzyme when I eat. Of course, I always take probiotics. We'll get to that. But you should be producing all these, lipase. Lipase breaks down fat. So there's all these enzymes going on. Well, as you chew, your body is producing these digestive enzymes in your mouth, and as you chew them up, and in your upper stomach, and you're also producing hydrochloric acid. Now, hydrochloric acid in its purest form is pH of about 2.5. By the way, that's also the pH of Coca-Cola. So that tells you why you don't want to put any kind of substance like that in your body. I tell people all the time, just remember, I mean, there's no Coca-Cola fountain. There's a water fountain, or there's waterfalls, and there's water in nature. There's no Coca-Cola in nature. And think about it. There's no pizza tree. I wish there was. I love pizza, but I don't eat it because it's not healthy. And there's no Dorito tree, and there's no potato chip tree, but there is an apple tree, and there's a cherry tree, and there's a guava tree, and there's a banana plant. But these things, these other foods that you see on the shelf, these processed foods, just don't exist in nature. So going back to the stomach, now the idea that your stomach is always at a pH of 2.5. That means, like, for instance, if you were to take your fingers, okay, and put them into your stomach, they would just come back and they would be gone because they were just beaten up by the acid. That's not what the case is. So, what you want to do again is, when you eat your food, do it properly. They always say chew your juice and juice your food, in the sense that you should be, when you're just drinking a juice, you should do chewing, but you should chew, because it's one of the reasons I don't recommend people chew gum, because you're chewing, and that's part of the digestive tract, the process, I should say. And so the main thing you want to remember about that is I never drink water with my meals. And of course, I drink the right kind of water. I don't drink distilled water or purified water or reverse osmosis. Those are the same thing. I drink, alkaline ionized water. And if I can't get that, then I drink spring water. And actually, I take a little something called hydrogen stick, and you put it into the water and shake it up, and that alkalizes the water and helps bring it up a little bit, bring the pH up of the water. So when I'm traveling, that's what I take, and I put it in all my jars and all my bottles and everything. And um, so that's what I do. So now, um, having said that, um, I never drink water around mealtime. So what you want to do is I drink a big tall glass of water like this about a half an hour before I eat, so that I'm not really thirsty. Okay. And then I never drink water with my meal, because you're just diluting the digestive process. You're negating the hydrochloric acid, and you're washing out all these enzymes. You're washing all these probiotics, the friendly bacteria, which I always take a probiotic with every time I eat. I never miss it. If I do, it's because I just don't have one, but I always have probiotics with me. I'm really quite a health fanatic, in the sense that when I go traveling, I've got a shower filter with me. I take off the head of the shower in the hotel and put on. I spent half my life in hotels. I put on the shower filter. I screw it back in. I have my pliers with me. I mean, I really don't. I don't want to shower in chlorinated water. It's really bad for you. I always have my hydrogen sticks. I usually bring some avocados. I bring bananas with me. I pack them in my suitcase. So I have food when I get there. So I don't have to go, oh my gosh, I'm in an airport and what am I going to eat? Well, the only thing I could eat was something that is not healthy for me. So I just don't do, I bring some food, so I have something. But at any rate, so when I do eat, what I do is I drink water about half an hour before I eat. Then that's it. Then right before I eat, I take some probiotics. Ideally, you can take those anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes before you eat. And then I take some digestive enzymes. I take something called Saccharomyces boulardii. That's a yeast. That's a probiotic. Really good for the lower colon. So I'm really, and sometimes I eat a lot of apple cider vinegar. I have my own brand, but I'm big into apple cider vinegar because that's got something in it called acetic acid, and acetic acid is great for controlling blood sugar and for digestion. It's amazing stuff, and apple cider vinegar is one of the best ways to get that. And then I also have that in a powder form. And so when I'm traveling, I take my little apple cider vinegar capsule. I get my acetic acid. So I don't drink water before my meal, 20 minutes, 30 minutes before. And again, and then so you never drink water half an hour before, during, or half an hour to an hour after I eat. So I usually don't drink any kind of liquid or any kind of water, at least until an hour after I've eaten, sometimes an hour and a half. Because if you're well hydrated, you're not going to feel like, oh, I got to eat, I got to drink something, I got to drink something. And of course, the other problem is that you you're always eating cooked foods that are very dry. You're eating a piece of bread. I mean, it's drying, you want water with that. You want to drink it down with something. Wine's not a very good, I have nothing against wine in a principle, but with your meal, that's not a good thing to drink with your meal. You shouldn't be drinking anything. I never do, but I eat a salad. Well, salads and are full of water. But when you're eating crackers and you're eating all these cooked foods that have been dried out, and you're eating asparagus that has been cooked and doesn't have the moisture anymore in it, it's dry, and so yeah, you're thirsty. So don't do that. So I've trained myself over the years. When I'm going to eat something, I'm not sitting here drinking water with it. So the answer to your question finally is, and I just like to talk about this, the digestive process is extremely complicated, and parts of the digestive process actually has a very, very high pH. Your bile and is very high pH, over 8.5. There's something called the duodenum that's pumping out something in the range of 8 to maybe almost 9. So parts of the digestive process are very alkaline, and parts, like I said, hydrochloric acid, are very low. So I'll say it again: the idea that your body is down, your stomach's down there at all times, a pH 2.5. That's just not true. You should only be producing this hydrochloric acid to break down your foods when you're eating and when you're chewing. And you'll see that hydrochloric acid really doesn't exist too much when you isn't created when you're juicing something and drinking it. Now, I love juice. I mean, I'm big into juicing. I juice all the time. I love to juice pomegranates with citrus, and I treat that just like a citrus one. So I usually go what's in season. I always have bananas every single day, and I'm just a big fan of bananas because they're very filling. They're high in potassium that controls your blood pressure, and they're just incredible food all the way around. So they're like I said, they're very filling. But I always take spirulina and chlorella. This is my latest book on the kings of all superfoods. People talk about superfoods. For 20 years, we listened to David Wolf talk about superfoods and all that. And there's some great superfoods and all that. But the two greatest foods in the world, without doubt, are spirulina and chlorella. They're 60% protein. So this is what I use for my protein. So I've been a vegetarian now 44 years, almost going on 45. And I've been a vegan about 25 years because I was a vegetarian for 18 years before I found out about first spirulina, and I never heard of it. And then chlorella. Now these are 60% protein. And just so you know, meat is around 15% protein on average. You see some of the leaner cuts will get 18, maybe 19 at the most. You have to go to filet mignon for the really high protein. You might reach 22% at the most, but that's it. And here we got 60%. So nothing comes close. And these are pre-digested amino acids, meaning they are ready to be formed into proteins immediately. Now let me address that quickly. So two things to say about animal protein. Number one, if you were going to eat raw meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, you wouldn't have a problem. If they were organic and they're fresh, friend of mine or an acquaintance, they have a farm out in Fowlerville, and not Fowlerville, Fowler, Westphalia, and but up in that area, and they raise this meat. Okay, they grow they grow stuff to feed the cattle and the chickens. So they do chickens, and they do eggs, and they do beef. And me personally, if I was ever going to eat those things, meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, I would get it from a farm like that. Okay, just because I think that the factory farming and the meat that you find in stores is very suspect. Okay, same with the eggs and dairy, all that stuff. So you want to go to a farmer, and the way you do it, usually you join the cooperative so they're not selling it to you, because the federal government and their genius has just made raw milk to be such an evil substance. And they go out and they raid these Amish farmers. It's just terrible. And they're just because they're selling this raw milk and raw cheese and this kind of stuff. So at any rate, the other point you want to make, again, if you eat these foods, raw meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, I wouldn't recommend the stuff you get out of the stores. But if you go to the guy's name is Schaefer. So if you go to the Schaefer farm and you buy it from them, you're going to get a good quality, meat and eggs. You see the people that raise chickens and they sell the eggs, maybe they're up the street or whatever. Those are the people that you want to get an egg from, and you want to eat it raw. But we don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy raw. Nobody does. You got sushi. But that's about it. Otherwise, we always cook our animal protein. And here's the problem. The problem with that is that you've got to take meat, and which doesn't have a full complement of amino acids. There's essential amino acids. And when you hear the word essential, that's an essential nutrient. What an essential nutrient is that you must consume it from something. You must consume it from the outside. Your body can't make it. Your body can make a lot of amino acids. It can make a lot of fatty acids and build them. and we'll get, fat, only a plant can make fat. We can accumulate fat, and we can take fatty acids and make them into other chains of fatty acids, but humans and mammals do not create fat. When you go to get fish oil, that fish is eating algae or something else, and it's accumulating the fat within it. So only plants can make fat. Okay, that's where you get nuts and seeds. Usually the fat's in there. Avocado, I love avocado. I have avocado just about every single day. That's one of my favorite foods. And but you got to eat that fat. You want to consume it from the outside. And so there's ways to do that. We'll get, as a matter of fact, spirulina and chlorella have two of the greatest fats in the world in it. Okay, they're 6% fat, and that is ALA, linoleic acid for chlorella, and GLA, gamma linoleic acid for spirulina. So that's the kind of food you want to get your fats from. You want to do flax seeds is a good example. Any kind of seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, avocado. You want to get these natural fats, but I don't get them from the animal world. Now, the biggest problem when you have cooked animal protein is that amino acids are held together with what they call peptide bonds. And so when you cook that food, these peptide bonds, what happens, you've got an animal or fish or whatever, and it has made these long complex chains of proteins, and held together with these peptide bonds. And so now when you eat that food, that animal, you have to break that down, okay, those amino acids, and then you got to reform them into human proteins that we need. You're not going to take a protein structure, a complex protein from a cow or from a chicken or from an egg or from a fish, and just start using it in the body, because those aren't the protein chains that we need. We need human protein chains. So your body's going to break apart all these amino acids and then reform them. And that takes a lot of energy, and that's one issue. But the biggest problem is that you cook it, and so this protein structure becomes a mess. It just doesn't, it's not like it's going to break apart and now you got amino acid. It turns into this big mess, and it becomes dangerous, very dangerous. And so you gotta it's not, you're not going to even get the amino acids out of it. It's really something quite dangerous. So cooked animal protein, not raw animal protein, and it's certainly not, again, if you get it from nature, you go out and you shoot a deer and you eat the venison. Nobody ever does that. But if you were to do that, you wouldn't have a problem. Back at the turn of the century, not this century, the last century, around 1904, there was something called the raw milk cure. And everybody was drinking this raw milk and getting cured of all these things. And people wrote a book about it, and there was a big fad. But the thing is obviously it wasn't so processed back then, but again, it was the raw milk cure. So you were getting all these enzymes from the milk, and there are nutrients in the milk, okay, but it's not like they have now, where I think the animal protein that you get very, very contaminated. This is a side issue. The reason I'm a vegan is not because it's because of health issues. That's why I don't really get into. I have my thoughts on maybe whether or not you want to have factory farm meat, or whether that's ethical, and whether you should kill animals and that's ethical. Those are different issues. I do it strictly for health, and I stick to that because I don't want to get sidetracked with these issues about this is unethical to eat animals and to kill them and all that. That's a different subject completely. I do it for health reasons only. And believe me, you'll be a healthier person if you don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy. And to me, I love dairy products. I mean, I'm a dairyaholic, I'll admit it. Just because you're a dairyaholic or an alcoholic doesn't mean you drink alcohol anymore, and doesn't mean you eat dairy. But the only kind of dairy product I never could eat, I never liked, was buttermilk. Other than that, you name it, cheese, cottage cheese, milk, cream, sour cream, you name it, ricotta cheese, I love it. But I stay away from those things because they're not healthy. And there's also something to be said about the casein that you find in animal in dairy products, and in particular, it's high in cheese. That's physically addictive. So it's got an enzyme in it that makes it, literally goes to the same receptor in the brain that heroin goes to, and makes you physically addicted to heroin. Um, and um, and casein does the exact same thing. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this. You take something like you got, sorry, that's my cat. Um, um, you got something like um, nicotine. Nicotine is not addictive. You always say cigarettes are addictive. There's other things in cigarettes that are addictive, but if you ever saw the back maybe 15, 20 years ago, all the cigarettes producers were up there, the CEOs, and they asked them, is nicotine addictive? And they asked them one after another, and they all said, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not. And they were right in front of Congress. Well, nobody ever went after them because they have proven that nicotine is not addictive and it actually has some health benefits. But the smoking of anything is terrible. And there's other reasons people become physically addicted to it, because what they put in those cigarettes is what they're making you addicted to. That's just a little bit of a side. I'm not, and don't ever smoke. I mean, I'm not for anything like that. Lung cancer, if you get lung cancer, that's the one that's really the hardest one to ever cure yourself of. It's almost uncurable because you destroyed your lungs. This is my book on cancer, The Cure in the Mirror. And I wrote this book because the most common question I get is about cancer, for sure, because everybody has cancer or they know somebody who has cancer. Everybody. I mean, it's just almost, when I grew up in the 60s, I mean, people had cancer. It wasn't as bad. Kids never got cancer. We had the movie of the week with the one kid who had cancer, and it was unheard of. Now they got entire hospitals dedicated to kids with cancer. So what happened? Well, they destroyed our food supply and processed all our foods. And by the way, it's not this, it is, we do not have the same, they do not have this problem nearly as much in Europe as we have in the United States. Our food is really contaminated here. And in particular, another one is celiac disease. Celiac disease, that's a gluten intolerance. So where did this come from? Once again, absolutely never heard of it ever in my life till 10, 15 years ago. And then it became gluten intolerant. And if you take glutase, which is an amino acid, you'll be able to digest that. But what happened to it? Well, they put Roundup all over it, and that's the culprit, glyphosate. That's the culprit is Roundup, and they put that, and it's in everything, this glyphosate, and it's everywhere. And they banned that in Europe, but they have not nearly as bad a contaminated food over there. I'm sad to say, but that we have over here. So, which leads me to know the source of your food. Know where that's coming from. I mean, I go to the produce section when I go to Meijer and when I go to Kroger, and I really, I tell people all the time, I haven't bought anything out of a box, a jar, or a can for 40 years. I mean, you might a jar of peanut butter. I'm not, I stay away from peanut butter because it makes you fat. It could be other problems with it, but something like that, maybe some tahini somewhere, but a box, a jar, or can. And if I did, the idea that you're going to go out and buy a frozen pizza and cook it. I mean, you don't know what's in that thing. So know what's in that can of tomato soup. I don't care if it's the real, if it's organic, at least you can say, I can see the ingredients. But, Campbell soup or something, I mean, these are just major corporations. And honestly, in the end, you don't know what's in that can of soup. So I go to the produce department because when I pick up some kale, I know it's kale. And when I pick up parsley, when I pick up asparagus or apples or bananas or anything else, I know what it is. And then I don't take it home and cook it. But even if you did, there's a huge difference between home cooked food, that you cooked, and processed food. I mean, processed food is just poison. And I highly, fast foods. I mean, I grew up eating a lot of, fast foods, McDonald's, not a huge amount. I wasn't like really going out there all the time. with, you know, going to McDonald's and all that, but I ate my share of it. And, you know, you think, hey, it's just fast food. I mean, we know so much more now than we knew then. And I wasn't, you know, I grew up in meat and potatoes and in the 60s, and my mom was not the best cook. We had home cooked foods, but you know, so much, you know, came out of a jar. And we, you know, you don't know where this or a can, you know, I used to do these baked beans, Hungry Jack. You know, they had the special can on top, two cans, and you put them together, and it was really, and it's just like, you know, that's the way. And it was really my coach in high school in track. He says, don't eat this kind of this kind of garbage. And you know, like in like Coke and and chips and all this kind of stuff, because it's really bad for you. And I honestly had never heard anything like that in my life. And that was already in high school. I never equated eating with, you know, with performance or health, eating and health, eating and in running performance. I was the best. I went to Eastern High School. I was the best runner in my school. And that's the first time I even heard anything like that. So we're not educated as a country on what we should eat. And you know, I've dedicated my whole life, obviously, my professional life, to educating people on health and water and what to eat and what not to eat. Um, know the source of your food, know where that can, what's in that can if you're going to buy anything out of that can. And but the best place to get it, of course, is the garden. You know, grow your own food. I like gardening, you know, a lot of people don't, but you know, when I go out to get some spinach in the summer and my tomatoes and my arugula, my favorite food, one of them, you know, I know what I'm getting. I grew up, there it is. I know what I got. And so, you know, it's all about knowing the source of your food. What are you going to put? What are you going to put in this temple? This is the temple of God, and you should honor the temple by putting the right foods in it and putting in the foods in it that God grew. And God grew, you know, as I said, God grows an apple, and He didn't grow that Campbell's, you know, chicken soup, chicken noodle. He didn't grow that, and you don't know where that came from. And so, if you really want to be on that path to health, then it's about putting those things in your body. So just so you know what I eat fruit for lunch. I don't eat until noon. I kind of fast every day for at least 12, usually 15 hours every single day. So I eat at night about 6 o'clock, 6:30, and then I don't eat again until noon the following day. And but it gives you a chance to the healthiest thing you can do for yourself is fast. Stop eating and clear out your body. Fasting allows you to rest, repair, and cleanse the body. Okay, it's always good to go on a fast. Right before Easter, I went on a 3-day fast, and you know, I didn't get any headaches, rash, diarrhea, or fatigue, which are the symptoms of fasting, but because those are the poisons coming out of your body when you go on a fast. And that's what all disease lives on. What, you know, and by the way, what is a toxin? You become very toxic. So I always say HAD, HAD, hydrate your body, alkalize your body, because it's probably going to be acidic, and that you measure that through your urine, and then detoxify your body. Those are the keys to health. HAD, hydrate, alkalize, detoxify. And what is a toxin? A toxin is something that doesn't belong in the body. And there are very mild toxins, and then there are very serious toxins, such as heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, benzene. You go fill up your car with gasoline. You're breathing in trihallomethanes, VOCs, volatile organic chemicals, hydrocarbons. That's what's in the gas. Benzene. You're breathing it in. You ride behind a school bus or a truck, and you can smell the fumes. You're breathing it in, and that's getting right into your bloodstream. So you want to constantly detoxify these things, and because that's what disease lives on. When you're sick, you know two things about your body. Okay, you know that your body is acidic, it's a low pH, and you know your body is toxic. It's full of toxins. So that's what you always want to do, is constantly keep yourself hydrated. You want to alkalize it. I recommend ionized water and raw foods and detoxification.
Oh,
Okay.
GMOs. But someone here asked if you could talk a couple minutes about GMO.
Okay, well, anything that is genetically modified foods. By the way, just not first of all, what are commonly genetically GMO foods? Well, soy. Stay away from soy. It's one of the worst foods you can put in your body. I can come up with a bunch of reasons
If
why.
they're organic, they're not GMO.
Well, it's true. It's hard to find. I would say if you want to go to this website, which is it's non-GMO.com. I don't know if it's non-GMO.org, but it has to do with if you just look up non-GMO and then go to this organization, they'll tell you all the top foods that are out there. There's other reasons not to eat soy other than it's just really bad for you. It's got phytic acid. It interferes with your thyroid. It's got phytohemagglutinin, which is essentially blood glue. It's huge amounts of estrogen. It's the wrong type of estrogen for the body. It's got a positive spin to it, unlike any other food. If you look at all raw foods, they have a negative spin, ionic spin to them. So there's many reasons not to eat it. Just besides that, I don't ever eat tempeh. I don't ever eat any kind of soy product. I can't think of the one that's always out there, but I just don't eat it. I don't even touch it. My wife loves soy, and she's always eaten soy product, but not a huge amount. But I just don't even touch it. So, but genetically modified, I wouldn't touch a genetically modified food, which goes back to knowing what's in your food, like trans fats, partially hydrogenated oils. These are just poison. Any kind of seed oil, that all of a sudden everybody discovered these seed oils are really, really bad for you. Well, I mean, corn oil, vegetable oil. I mean, I don't even know, where do these come from? How do they make these? And you want to stay away from this stuff. And one of the most poisonous foods is fried foods of any kind. Never fry your food. There's some healthy oils, like olive oil isn't bad, and flaxseed oil. I'm not a big fan because it goes rancid very quickly. But you can eat. There's some good oils that you got to watch it. I do eat oil very sparingly. I don't eat much at all. I don't even eat too much oil because you don't want to. I'm kind of a little bit wary of where it comes from. Even the olive oil, so much of it's fake. And when we go back, you really want to get something. But genetically modified foods, get the list. Another one's red beets. They're all genetically modified. You look on the list. I mean, you'll see what's out there. They got these Target beets. They're white and red. They're not GMO. But yeah, find out what's GMO, what's been genetically modified. I mean, they're taking genes and moving them around in that food. That doesn't sound too natural to me. Just stop messing with our food, and please. But they won't do it. Just like they keep putting fluoride in the water, and that's really a bad substance. It's very poisonous substance, fluoridated water. But please stop doing this to our food. But they're not going to, and I guess it's a lot of money. They feed the cattle corn. Cattle and cows are grass grazers. They're grazing animals. They want to eat clover and grass and this kind of stuff, not corn. And yet that's what they feed them. They feed them a kind of corn that human beings cannot digest. It's called yellow dent number 2. So at any rate, sweet corn, even that I've heard that's become very genetically modified. I don't know for sure. Most of the corn, I don't think the wheat has been genetically modified, but I think the problem with wheat is this Roundup they put on it, sprayed on it for so many years that has changed it, and we've hybridized it so much that I think also could possibly be responsible for these problems with people getting the gluten intolerance, the celiac disease. And by the way, just so you know, there's a woman, her name is Stephanie Senek, and she's a PhD doctor, and she's the one who discovered that glyphosate in the body which is poisonous, your body recognizes it as glycine, which is an amino acid, and it appears very much like, and so your body absorbs this and starts using this in the metabolic pathways in the human body as thinking it's glycine, and it's not, it's glyphosate. So this is really very, very dangerous. And she did the work on it. And you can look her up, Stephanie Seneff. Seneff. I think it's Seneff. You could look that up, but she's amazing. What an amazing woman. And she's, I would guess in her 60s. I don't really know, but they went after her when she started really coming out and people started listening. They didn't like it. So you can go look her up on YouTube and listen to some of her talks. She is really smart. I have admire her quite a bit. She's done a lot of work, and she's not the only one. But anyway, so yeah, avoid the GMOs. Any other questions? I know we're getting a little time. I didn't want to just talk the entire time. Any other questions you guys have? Or
Well, Cricket, what about if we can't have alkaline? What can we have? Can we make our own good water somehow?
I can't
If
hear your
you-
question.
If you don't have access to alkaline water, is there something you can do with your own water to make it better?
Well, obviously, first thing I'm going to say is make sure it's filtered. I'm on a well up here. I'm in DeWitt, and I do, thankfully, I have a well, and I don't have city water. And I would filter it first of all, and then you can use these hydrogen sticks. I sell them. You can find them on Amazon, and you just look up hydrogen stick, and you put that in your water and you shake it up, and that'll help alkalize it. And it will give it a very small, it's like kind of a really, I call it a poor man's water ionizer. And so, that's another thing you can do. I would really avoid any kind of purified water, which is when you go into the supermarket, because the government says so. If you see anything that says drinking water, never buy that and never drink it, because this is purified water. It's really ridiculous. So to call it that, but so you want to drink, like I said, spring water is okay, or well-filtered tap water, and then you could put the alkaline sticks in it. For instance, when I'm traveling, I get a lot of people, I go to the hotel, they give me these little bottles of purified water. And so what am I going to do? Well, I have a product that I sell that's calcium. It's called calcium L-threonate. So it's a type of calcium that's got an amino acid that actually will help your body absorb it, get into your bones, that kind of thing. And so I take some of that and put it in there and shake it up. And then I put in my alkaline stick. So without getting into great details, you're drinking a substance that's going to leach minerals out of your body, purified water. So now you put in the calcium and that balances it out. So we got a buffer. So it's not going to steal your minerals, and it's going to take those minerals in there, and then use the alkaline stick. Now that's what I would do. That's what I always do. I think the most valuable thing you can ever buy yourself for a product would be a water ionizer. Ionized water is a very powerful antioxidant. It has 3 antioxidant qualities: hydrogen, a negative ORP, and an abundance of electrons, which are free radical scavenger. It's very alkaline. All disease lives in an acid environment within your body and not in an alkaline environment. And it got very small water molecule clusters, and they're structured. They're, meaning some people call ionized water structured water. And so they're in a hexagon shape. Okay, so hexagon, you'll see the hexagon throughout nature. Like for instance, a beehive is always a bee. You see the honeycomb. It's always 6-sided, and you'll see it everywhere in nature. A lot of people use it as their logos these days, but it's very common. You look at a snake skin, you look at insect eyes. The reason is because that is the most energy efficient shape in the universe, is the hexagon. That's 6-sided. So this is 6-sided. So it's very small water molecule clusters, very penetrating. They hydrate the body well. They hydrate your cells, and then they push out all the things that don't belong in your body, which we refer to as toxins. So it's very detoxifying. So that's the best thing you can do, is drink alkaline ionized water. And then, and by the way, the only difference between raw fruits and vegetables in ionized water is that they're identical to one another in every single way. All these qualities, except ionized water doesn't have any nutrients and raw foods do. But otherwise, they have the same qualities, negative ORP. They will have, especially when they're fresh, hydrogen. They'll have a negative charge, negative ORP, reduces the oxidation of the body. You'll see that they're alkalizing, and they all also are detoxifying, whereas cooked foods always deposit their toxins into the body. And the more processed the food is, the worse it is for you. There's just as simple as that. Anything else?
Thank you, Bob. Anybody else have any questions? That was so awesome, Bob. Every time you talk to us, we learn something new.
Okay, yeah,
Or
that's
get
what
reminded of the things we forgot. So
yeah, and just stick to that raw food lifestyle. And it is a lifestyle. And the more you do it, the more you'll, just get used to doing. I want a nice big burger. I want a pizza. I would love a pizza. Boy, if there was a pizza truck, but those things are just not healthy for us. So,
Yeah.
you do your pizza, you have your one slice a month, you have your cheat, you don't want to become, I've never said to myself, I'm never going to eat raw cooked foods again, because it all becomes psychological. The only reason you put anything into your body is 100% up here. It's the only reason you do it. You love the taste of it, and just don't let the taste of your food become your demise and your destiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I always enjoy
Right.
it. I always want to talk about health. You guys are great. I mean, Cricket started the raw food groups lifestyle. We were over at the other church, First Christian, for 18 years, and then so I was just going on. I remember walking into that about 1998, and I'm going, raw foods. I was already into ionized water, and they made all these dishes, and then and they started. I was eating all these dishes, and they were just delicious. And I'm like going, these are all raw. And so, the Hiawatha was the person that introduced me to not raw foods really as much as sprouts. She dropped off these sprouts for me to sell, right? So I'm buying sprouts from her, and I'm selling them. And then I just thought, why do I want to eat a sprout? And I looked it up, and I saw enzymes, and I got a book on enzymes from Edward Howell. And I went, oh, you want the enzymes for this? So that's how it all started for me, was that.
That's
but,
great.
raw is the law. And you guys are doing a great thing there.
I
You guys
like that.
yeah, yeah. And you guys are doing just, you're doing this once a month. It's just fantastic, because this is what keeps people going, and like, why am I doing this? And, and great chefs. I was born to cook, but I never cook anymore. But guys, people, ladies like Cricket and Miko. Okay, remember Miko,
Yeah.
Michelle,
Yeah.
and I saw her not too long ago. She is fantastic. I mean, she brought some little some kind of dessert thing that she made, unbelievable. She's doing it, and you just got to stick with it. And a lot of people don't stay with it through the years. Matt Monarch kind of went away. Paul Neeson's still doing it. Paul Neeson's still done the raw food lifestyle. So
Yeah.
yeah, they kind of break away. I don't say Matt's he's partially raw. I don't know where he is, but he was eating eggs for a while. But anyway, you don't want to eat from the animal world. And raw is the law.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Bob. Good night.
Okay. Thanks for having me, and stay healthy. All right. Take care.
All right.
All right. God bless. All right. Bye-bye.